Story 1. I'm a big fan of using your local or not so local library. I realize this site has a lot of non-Americans on it, but my library can get me most things if I'm patient. Story 2. Never been against it. Like Gabe said, it's a service issue. I switched to streaming because it was easier and worth the money. Now it's not. And I'll still go buy the stuff I really enjoy on physical media or Amazon Prime. Story 3. In Eastern Europe, we pirate literally everything. Every time I ask a friend from the United States if they saw a show and they go, "No, I don't have Amazon Prime," my brain goes, "What's that got to do with anything?" Story 4. I can't be bothered to pirate. I buy games, I buy Blu-rays, I have a Netflix subscription. I won't tolerate ads on something I'm paying for. When Amazon added ads to Prime, I ditched it. So if there were something I really wanted to see but am never going to subscribe to, in theory, I would get a pirate copy. But in reality, I can't remember anything other than Game of Thrones that it applied to. Almost everything released is rubbish. Story 5. I have no choice but to acquire physical things with money. Food, rent, and belongings. Stealing these things is extremely risky. But I do have a choice whether to acquire digital things with money or not. Pirating these things is not particularly risky. Given that I need money for physical things but not digital things, I will use my money on physical things and not digital things. Therefore, I pirate. Simple as that. No moral debate or superiority complex. It's just pragmatic for me. I only have so much money, so I use it for the things that are hardest to steal. In this absurd economy, I'll take a win anywhere I can. If I can get a little escapism or a cool productivity tool to engage in a meaningful hobby, to get my mind off this insanity that is the modern world, I'll take it. Morality of piracy be damned. We're past that. There are countless more important moral issues to spend our precious energy thinking about. Piracy of intellectual property isn't even on the radar. Story 6. My mother-in-law is going to be mad when she finds out the YouTube TV service I've been paying for, that she's been using, doesn't work because she can't watch Fox News anymore after today because I canceled it. Internet protocol television is awesome. Story 7. I will be a bit contrarian here and say I get it, but I don't condone it. Look, the splitting of streaming services is annoying, and including ads is doubly so, and price hikes are frustrating. However, compared to the issues we used to have with cable and satellite, it's still much better. We're not getting locked into years-long contracts that individually cost hundreds of dollars, which also force us to install physical hardware that we also have to pay for. Canceling a subscription is annoying, but again, it used to be worse. We have to spend 5 minutes navigating through a website to click on cancel, instead of potentially spending hours on the phone, paying cancellation fees, and scheduling a time to remove the boxes from the house. Nowadays, there are apps you can use to manage your subscriptions to turn them on or off. I'm not saying we should accept poor service because things used to be worse, but some perspective on how things used to be is helpful. Pirating, for the reason described, is stealing creative content. Sure, it's stealing from large multi-billion-dollar companies, but it's still stealing. While it's not 100% the same, I do wonder how many people on the internet who railed against artificial intelligence art due to it stealing creative content from smaller artists without compensation will themselves pirate original creative content from large companies because they don't want to pay. Now, if you legitimately can't access a piece of media due to region locking, it being lost, censorship stopping it, or some other extraneous factor, then yes, using pirating makes sense and is more understandable. However, if you're just pirating because you don't want to pay for something or deal with a couple of minutes to set up or deactivate an account, then just own up to the stealing. Story 8. I've never had a strong moral opinion on piracy. I think it's dumb when companies say, "Oh no, the pirates are the reason we're losing money." It's also dumb when pirates try to morally rationalize what they're doing. It is theft. Petty theft, but theft nonetheless. Don't pretend like you're Robin Hood here. At the end of the day, you are not entitled to be entertained by other people. If I make a movie, and it's the most amazing, must-watch piece of entertainment ever, I get to decide what to do with it. I can lock it away and rent it for $1 million per view, and that's my right as its creator. That would be dumb of me, but it's my right. It's not your right to watch it. You don't need to watch it. Piracy isn't noble. It's just petty entitlement. So yeah, my opinion hasn't changed. Pirate if you want to, just stop making these dumb excuses. They are a multi-billion-dollar company. You still don't need to watch it. If buying isn't owning, piracy isn't stealing, unrelated concepts, you still don't need to watch it. I don't want to watch advertisements. Then you don't need to watch it. I hate the digital rights management. Then don't play it. It isn't available for sale. That's too bad. Guess you can't play it. Or do play it via piracy. I don't give a expletive. I'm not innocent either. I just hate the endless parade of inane excuses that people use to feel less guilty about being petty thieves. I've never met a more pathetic group of entitled children than, well, probably the top 20 or so comments on this thread. Grow up. Story 9. If corporations want consumers to stop doing anti-corporate things, corporations need to stop doing anti-consumer things. Raising prices while reducing services and making record profits makes it hard to feel bad for the stockholders. Story 10. Honestly, it's not the price increases that really get me. It's paying for the premium ad-free plan and still getting ads. I get that live things that simulcast on television will have ad breaks. Whatever. Show me a blank screen with the channel logo instead. Or puppies or cats. Anything but more ads. I am so close to going back to pirating. Story 11. I'm on the cusp. I have sailed the seas before, but now that I have a family, I just pay for the normal stuff. However, it's getting too expensive for what it is. I'm one price increase away from giving it all up, and then it's a pirate's life for me. Story 12. I was always one of those pirates back in the day that would say, I only pirate because price and availability are exploitative. But honestly, I didn't believe it. I just liked having free things, or so I thought. When Netflix came to Australia, I was one of their first customers and have never paused my subscription. I actually do happily pay for things that are good value and convenient. Soon, other on-demand services started to pop up and fracture the media offerings, and I began to collect them like infinity stones. Just recently, I've reviewed all of the subscriptions I have, the price hikes I've endured, and the unforgivable intrusion of ads, and enough is enough. Forget these companies. I'm donning my eye patch and setting sail again. Story 13. I think media addiction is part of the reason we have become so dumb and let the world go to hell. Nobody needs these shows. It would be better for us all if instead of pirating the latest fake reality manufactured celebrity drama, we just stopped watching. It literally put a clown in a position to lead the United States of America. Before panicking about microplastics in our spatulas, maybe we should rethink the amount of macro-idiocy we are consuming through our screens. Story 14. They are all loaded with debt. Most of the parent companies of these streaming services took out loans to fuel new content nobody wants, like Season 7 of Stranger Things, where Eleven will raise her hand at the end and destroy the evil Glibglorb. They need to keep raising prices to service the debt. Story 15. I use pirate streaming services. Watch Cartoon Online for cartoons and the Flixer for TV shows, cartoons, and movies. Don't use the Flixer unless you are using an ad blocker. It's crazy with the amount of ads, but it's perfectly fine if you use an ad blocker. Your internet service provider may have blocked the links, so just use Google to find mirrors. Story 16. If anyone is a member of a private invite-only torrent site with a spare invite, I can promise my seating ratio will be excellent, and I am not a narc. Private messages gladly accepted. Story 17. Thievery, no matter how anyone rationalizes it. If you don't like what it costs, nobody is forcing you to buy it. Go get DVDs from the library. It's free. Story 18. Reasons why I've pirated shows and movies in the past few months. The Disney Plus app was so poor that it would constantly buffer and sometimes even just show a black screen for no reason. Pirating provided an actually functional viewing experience. The thing I wanted to watch used to be on Netflix, but then got taken off. It's no longer available on any streaming service at all. Other streaming services with exclusive shows just aren't available in my country. Story 19. The same as when game publishers decided to reword end-user license agreements and terms of service to say even on physical disc purchase you're only leasing access to the software, not buying the software. If buying, in television's case, subscription or TV licensing, isn't owning, then piracy isn't stealing. Story 20. Once upon a time, when that streaming service wasn't greedy, I docked my boat on a beach and was enjoying it. Now that the sun has left me with thunder and showers, I've decided to hop on the Black Pearl with my trusty parrot, Captain Crunch, perched on my shoulder, to sail the high seas of the internet, searching for buried cinematic treasures. Story 21. I tried Netflix a few years ago. I enjoyed it, but I was annoyed that they kept removing titles, which in my opinion kind of defeats the purpose of a subscription. So I went back to piracy and get to watch shows I like when I want. Sure, sometimes it's not the best quality, but it gets the job done. Story 22. I just don't even know where to go for this anymore. I used to have all manner of different sources for different things, even right down to different torrent sites for specific genres of music. It's been so long, I don't know where to start. Story 23. The same as they have always been. I will pay for a product I enjoy being delivered in a convenient manner. The less convenient it becomes, the less likely I am to pay for it. Typically, that just means I will stop watching. Sometimes it does not. Story 24. Piracy or other forms of free alternatives to paid products are absolutely necessary, as they set a bar for what is and is not worth our money. Can be quality, convenience, or something else. Streaming platforms gained an advantage over piracy because of convenience. If that convenience is gone, what is there to pay for? Story 25. My views remain unchanged. I was never a potential customer. They are not losing a sale to me, as I never intended to buy in the first place. My friend group has a community Plex server with Overseer to find media, and we can watch it with no ads anywhere. Story 26. I am canceling them. I sailed the high seas for many years when I was young and broke. If I really want to watch something, that option is still available. Story 27. Being old enough to remember the flood of commercials on network television. The advertisements aren't that much. Frustrating, yes, but it's a price to pay for quality content. Story 28. Yesterday, I received my first advertisement as a paying customer since the day that service was available. Today, I am no longer a customer. I have no idea where I stand in the spending percentiles, but that money can be used where it's appreciated. Story 29. Equilibrium of cost, convenience, and annoyance. As long as it's cheap, convenient, and not a pain to access content, I'm happy to stay off the boat. If you make things too expensive, less convenient, and annoying as can be, like way too many ads, higher prices, and the need to access 10 platforms just to follow my favorite shows, I'm taking to the sea. Story 30. I only paid for Netflix, got rid of it with the price increase because a virtual private network subscription is cheaper. I was looking for an old movie on Netflix and I couldn't find it, but I found it on Internet Archive and downloaded it entirely in the browser, and that made me cancel. I figured all these torrent sites and ad blockers would bankrupt these streaming services, but there are enough people that are unfamiliar with them, can't be bothered to make a few extra clicks, and would rather keep paying Netflix. Story 31. They fractured all content, including different seasons of the same show, across 1 billion platforms because of greed. They completely ruined streaming, so forget them. Story 32. I will drop any paid streaming service without a no advertisement tier. I've been a Netflix subscriber for so long I can't even remember when I started. I even own Netflix stock. But if they force advertisements on me, I'm out. Story 33. I have almost always used an HDMI input to feed ad-free content to the TV for display, usually from my Linux personal computer, sometimes from a Fire Stick. I hope TVs won't interfere with the HDMI feed and superimpose or replace parts with ads. But I'm not sure if any are doing that. My TV is a 2019 Sony, but I expect to buy a new one soon. Should I be worried? I would like to leave the TV without any internet access, so if it views my screen, sees bank details, passport images, etc., it can't send data back to the manufacturer and just use my personal computer again. Personally, I'm happy with Netflix, which has been ad-free where I've lived, and YouTube with an ad blocker. I rarely even know what new movies are being released and have no interest in pirating them. Story 34. It depends on what you are pirating. Stuff by major for-profit companies that are just doing it to squeeze even greater profit margins while mistreating their employees? Go for it. Stuff by independent developers and creators that are struggling to survive while producing content. You are an ass. Story 35. I gave up on it a long time ago. It just isn't worth the battle, though I am sure it has gotten better. The real risk at the time was child pornography. Ignorantly downloading large amounts of it is not really a defense. Even if you were just downloading all the episodes of The Office and someone was trying to sneakily pass it around disguised as an episode or something, once you had it, it was too late. Sure, the fines for piracy and such are bad too, and it's not easy to get caught. But the worst-case scenario for piracy at the time meant you would be sent to jail for a long time, even just during the trial period, and your life would be over. I also worked for Geek Squad when I was around 18 to 20, and I stopped pirating because I found child pornography on a lot of computers and reported it each time. In 2 years, I reported it 9 times, and I was only part-time. The other guys had some incidents while I was away at college. Some of it you might believe was unintentional, but it didn't matter for them. There was a lot of other pornography too, including a situation where a woman's explicit photo was set as a screensaver on her husband's computer. They both came to drop it off, and we typically plugged it in right there in front of everyone. She was extremely embarrassed, but she was also somewhat attractive.